Hey everybody, Patrick Manchester with Manchester Properties. Wanted to shoot out another video talking about the Colorado Springs real estate market. Quick overview. I'm sure everybody knows our market is insane right now in terms of rising prices. We've got 319 active existing listings in El Paso County. Existing meaning if they're already built. So just for some context, last summer we had anywhere from 800 to 900 houses on the market, and everybody was freaking out at this historically low inventory. 319 houses on the market now is historically lower. Tiny supply, crazy demand, prices are going up. But the two things I want to talk about today are in regards to agent communication. And I'm not talking about agent and client communication if your realtor isn't picking up your phone calls or answering your texts, your emails. Like, it goes without saying, get a new realtor. But what I want to talk about is agent to agent communication and how that could swing your net proceeds as a seller. So with that low inventory, if you gave like a trained monkey a typewriter and gave him a listing, he's going to get multiple offers on that listing. Let's not celebrate that. But the way that we handle these multiple offer situations and the communication with other agents is going to make a huge difference in your proceeds as a seller. And I'm talking, just in what I've seen over the last couple of months, I'm talking $20,000 to $80,000 difference in your pocket if you're a seller. So the two things I want to talk about, there's two different situations. The first one is, how an agent handles communication with agents who have potential buyers, where they haven't sent an offer yet. They're just calling to get a feel for what's going on with the listing. So people that haven't sent an offer yet. And then the second situation I want to talk about is how agents communicate with other agents who have sent offers in a multiple offer situation. So let's talk about the first one first. When a listing goes live on the market and people start to show it, inevitably listing agents will get calls from buyer's agents saying, hey, what kind of activity have you had? How many offers do you have? What do we got to do here to win this eventual multiple offer situation, because it happens on every single listing. But I'm kind of seeing a crazy trend right now in the showing instructions part of the listing. And you can't see this as a consumer on Realtor.com or Zillow or wherever properties are listed online. This is only on the MLS, so only other agents can read it. But the trend that I'm seeing right now is listing agents are straight up putting in the showing instructions, do not call listing agent, which is insane to me, because those are the very best conversations that you can have right now if you're representing a seller. Because every single one of those calls goes the exact same way right now. It's how many offers do you have, and how much do my buyers have to pay to win this listing, to win this sale, to get this house. It's always the same, right? And so as a listing agent, if you're not taking those calls, you're just kind of seeing what happens, and that's not great for the seller. So if you're a seller and your listing agent is straight up telling buyers agents not to call them, that's a problem. One, and I take every single one of these calls. One, you get to control the narrative around the listing a little bit better. When a buyer's agent calls and says, hey, what's going on? You get to tell them, we've had 11,000 showings and we've got 52 billion offers coming in. This is a hot property. If your folks are interested, you have to come strong. And it kind of it eliminates, and we're not even seeing a ton of this right now, but it eliminates the possibility of an agent coming in low or at asking price, which right now is not an acceptable offer. But the secondary benefit of this is you kind of get to interview these buyers via their agent. And what that can do is that minimizes headaches down the road if you are to accept their offer. So one of the questions I like to ask is, have these buyers seen the property in person? There's a ton of people that are writing offers sight unseen right now because the market's so hot and these properties come off the market so quickly that buyers are seeing a house online, they're only seeing the pictures, and their agent's firing off an offer. And those have the tendency to terminate. So, you accept an offer, you take your property off the market, and then 3 days later, when they actually come see it in person, they terminate, and you got to start this process all over again, and it's crazy frustrating. So when you take these calls, you got to ask stuff like that. Have they seen it in person? Has the agent seen it in person? Are the buyers cash? Are they getting a conventional loan, an FHA or a VA loan? Because those all come with different pros and cons, right? And if you know that ahead of time, you can weigh that against some of the other offers that come through. And another great question to ask is, do your buyers have cash for an appraisal gap? One of the things that we're seeing in this market, and I think we've talked about this on previous videos, is buyers are willing to pay over the appraised amount, which nuts, but that's what's happening. But if they're writing into their offer an appraisal gap, that money has to go. That money is above and beyond their down payment. So when I get a buyer saying, "Hey, we're willing to do an appraisal gap," I ask them, has their banker or lender or someone verified that those funds are there? I ran into this last year and I actually screwed this up. We received a $20,000 appraisal gap on an offer, and magically the appraisal came in $20,000 lower than our purchase price, and the agent had to call me and say, "Hey, we don't have this money." I never verified with them that those funds were in fact there, so I screwed that up. But that's one of the questions you can ask when you're taking these calls before you're taking these offers. And I see a lot of agents screw this up, especially if they're putting do not call listing agent right in their listing, and other agents see that. And I know we're all busy right now, but I'm seeing a lot of just not getting my calls answered when I've got buyers. They're not returning texts. They're not telling me anything, and we're basically flying blind, and it's costing their sellers money. I've seen it a couple of times where had an agent picked up and had we had a conversation, my buyers would have paid $20,000-$30,000 more than the house eventually sold for. So they cost their sellers $20,000 to $30,000 in those particular cases, and I know that's happening a lot right now. And there's probably bigger spreads out there just from a lack of communication. So if you're thinking about selling your house and you're interviewing realtors, make sure that you ask, will you personally take every single call that comes in about my listing? And then the second thing, and this might get a little awkward, but ask them to screenshot the full listing straight from the MLS so you can see the showing instructions, and see if they're putting something like that out to buyer's agents where they're saying that, hey, we're not going to answer our phone. If they're doing that, it might be time to get a new realtor. The second communication kind of failure point that I'm seeing right now is agents talking to other agents who have submitted offers on a listing when there's a multiple offer situation. So the way I'm seeing this kind of get bungled right now, there's this big myth that if you're a listing agent, you've got to be fair, right? You've got to be fair to all the buyers agents and all the buyers. And you can't tell agents what your offers are. And that's not true. The truth is, our job as a listing agent is to get our sellers as much money as possible with the best terms possible. So if and the way I see it, the way it plays out, you send an offer, you call in, and you're asking the agent, "Hey, what are the other offers?" And a lot of the responses that we're getting on the buying side is, "Oh, they're very strong, they're very aggressive." And it's kind of this vague tap dance around telling me what the actual terms are. So I'll tell you, in the beginning when you're fielding offers, it does pay to be a little bit vague. So the property goes on the market, you get one offer in, you get two offers in, and agents are calling. It's like, hey, these offers are strong. You kind of want to play on the buyer's fear of loss, right? And be like, hey, we have a lot of activity, we've got strong offers. If you want the house, you've got to be pretty aggressive with it. But once you've got multiple offers in and you've kind of got this high watermark, which is our job, we need to know what a property could potentially sell for, and we need to be good at knowing what this high watermark could be. So if you've got 3 or 4 or 5 offers and you've got one that stands out above the rest, what I'm seeing a lot of agents do is just accept that higher offer. And that's cool, it's a great offer, and the seller's probably going to be happy, but there's probably more money to be made there. And I'll tell you what I do for my sellers. I make these spreadsheets, right? And we go through, what is buyer one offering? What's their purchase price? What's their down payment? Are they cash, conventional, VA, FHA, whatever? Do they have an escalation clause? Do they have an appraisal gap? And, when you compare all these offers side by side, you can start to see which one is far and away the best. And so instead of just signing that offer, our job is to call other agents and see if we can get them up. If you've got one offer here and the rest of the offers are here, call these people and try to get them up. And it's more work, and yeah, it's hard, and that leads to uncomfortable conversations, but that's our job. You hired us, and you're paying us a boatload of money to do our job and get you as much money and the best terms as possible. We should be having those conversations. And so when I'm in this situation, I call all the lower offers back and I say, hey, here's where I'm at. You need to be at this. So in this situation, you need to be at 430 with a $30,000 appraisal gap and 2 months of free rent back. Can you do that? Yes or no? And they'll call their people back and figure out if they can do it. And you just go down the line and you see how high these people can go up. This being vague and tap dancing around it and just seeing what comes through, that's a very passive stance when you're dealing with a multiple offer situation. And that's where I think a lot of agents are costing their clients a boatload of money. Just by making phone calls. On these last couple of listings I've been working on, we were able to get, on this one, $30,000 more than we thought. And another one I just did, we ended up $70,000 higher than we thought. I mean, that's real money in my sellers' pockets just from making phone calls. So again, when you're interviewing someone to sell your house, get a couple of different people out there and see how their strategies differ, but just ask them that, how do you handle a multiple offer situation? Do you feel this need to be fair to buyer's agents, or will you call everybody and tell them where they need to be to win to get my house? So I know this video kind of went a little longer than I thought, but I've been getting super ranty about this, and I wanted to kind of educate you guys on what goes on behind the scenes. So as a side note, and kind of tagging along with that idea, the most successful agents aren't necessarily the best agents. The most successful agents are the ones that are the best at self-promotion and marketing, and I am terrible at that. So this is my idea of trying to get myself out there and point out what I think I'm good at. So if you know of someone that's about to sell their house, or if you're about to sell your house here in El Paso County, feel free to give me a call. I at least like to get in there and chat with you and tell you how I approach things and how I do things and what I'm able to do for some of my other sellers. So if nothing else, feel free to give me a call and at least give me a shot at it. Thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, 719-338-3200.